Furry artists are essentially the glue that holds the fandom together. If you can manage to draw an anthropomorphic animal as either cute, relatable, or sexy, you'll be swimming in follows soon enough. With that being said, doing this doesn't make you immune to criticism. There will be people who don't vibe with what you draw. Maybe it's your art style, what you draw, that art being high-key immoral in every sense. Anyone who's made their way through the fandom is already fully aware of cub. More specifically, cub porn. Cub porn is the furry Rorschach test to see who gets to burn at the stake. Not by fire, mind you, but by the court of public opinion. Many furries disapprove of artists who do cub porn due to its undeniable likeness to real-life CP. But that doesn't mean everyone objects to it. No. Some chose to be immoral. And then some people chose to like cub porn. While others claim that cub is acceptable because it's not real kids getting screwed, I will not be touching said material with a 20-foot pole. Unless it's for the purpose of a video. Like I said, most furries are aware that cub art exists. Whether it's SFW or SAH, we know it's out there. And that includes who we'll be taking a look into today. DogSmith, or Fazanek, is an adult furry artist on Twitter with quite a sizable following. Their public portfolio consists of your usual non-safe-for-work content, as well as stuff that, if I were to bring it up, would probably be interpreted as me kink-shaming. As for how DogSmith handles themselves online, things definitely appear to be somewhat stable on the surface. While there are allegations of the artist handling commissions poorly in regards to customers, this is something I cannot confirm nor refute myself. But what I plan to look into this video is a controversy DogSmith found themselves at the barrel end of quite some time ago. A controversy involving cub porn. The first spark of this would occur on August 1st, 2020. Another furry artist by the handle Cerulean Art had gotten into contact with DogSmith to say, "Hey again, sorry for hopping in like this, but I noticed you were following Cobalt Snow, and their posts are filled with art tagged as cub. Just wanted to let you know." DogSmith's response to this message was simply to block him. No response, no message, nothing. From just this tweet being circulated, most, including myself, were running on assumptions that DogSmith was into cub porn, as nothing definite had come to light just yet. At least not until a few hours later. DogSmith was asked in their Discord server about the incident, giving this statement in response. "Sorry it had to come out this way, I guess. I never really intended for people to know like that. It's more over my own private stuff. Essentially, someone caught me following a cub artist. They came to me about it, and instead of saying, 'Oops, sorry, didn't realize,' I blocked them because I didn't want a deal. They then posted screen caps, presumably saying that I'm some kind of pedophile. All I will admit to is enjoying cub work on my private time. I don't share it, I don't post it, it's for me. I never wanted to make it part of my brand. Sorry if that makes people uncomfortable. They don't share it or post it, it's just for them," they said. A public response to this would even be made the following day. And it wasn't the best in terms of clearing the air. The second tweet in this thread didn't paint too well a frame for the situation and resulted in a pretty guttural reaction from those reading. For those who keep asking, yes, I do enjoy exploring themes of underage characters. Cub isn't the right word, because that usually implies 6-year-olds, and my interest is strictly in adolescent sexuality, around 15 to 18. This is where they admit to working on cub material themselves. However, the public has never seen any of this work because they don't want it to become their brand. You've never seen any of this work, and there's a reason for that. I do not want this kind of thing to become part of my brand, because it's just for me. I don't want people thinking it's okay to be a pedophile. I encourage folks to find healthy coping mechanisms and psychiatric help. I understand this kind of artwork can come with risks in distributing, like abusers using my artwork to groom children, or possibly normalizing child abuse. While I personally don't think these really hold up, I still do not post them so that my personal artwork cannot be used by abusers. This struck as a tad odd in my opinion. Granted, the opening is pretty damning already, just a straight-faced admission to enjoying drawing minors in presumably sexual situations. There were even tweets in the thread that emphasized DogSmith's reason for keeping things to themselves. I would never, ever, never in a million years hurt anyone in reality. I have zero interest in real teens, or real-life roleplay of any kind. Child abuse is absolutely abhorrent, and I've always attempted to keep my space free of predators and harmful rhetoric. I will apologize for supporting public underage work. In the future, I will make an effort not to be outward with my own afflictions. No one else should be subjected to what I deal with. That's unfair to all my supporters. They even listed reasons as to why they've yet to get therapy, and while one reason I struggle to agree with, I can understand where they're coming from personally. But in the end, that was all overshadowed by the opening line being worded rather horridly. Admitting to enjoying their time exploring sexual themes involving minors and the barely legal. At least, that's what it comes off as. So it's not that surprising that this was the only portion that managed to see the light of day after DogSmith deleted the thread. In terms of this controversy, the rest of August was uneventful. The time was spent by a few furries spreading the reminder of DogSmith's abhorrent wording as they would try to return to business as normal, doing their usual style of adult artwork and discussing Season 3 of Agretsuko. At least until August 31st, when they would upload their proper response to the controversy in the form of a Google document. They said that they did so to jump ahead of the controversy and try and clear things up. I thought that too early response would come off as fake, but one too late might be just that, too late to do anything about it. After reminding us of the teenage characters they drew in private to deal with some issues they had, they explained why they had gone about doing so. When I was 16, I started drawing porn of characters my age, and they didn't age with me because I wanted to feel like I was still in high school. I spent the majority of my high school years pretending to be an adult. Thanks to being groomed into a relationship at 15 where the man, pretending to be a 23-year-old woman, actively discouraged any mention of my age and that I should be more mature. And then diving into my career early to get a head start so I could leave a toxic household, I started making not safe for work commissions as a teenager to get some cash to save. Obviously, I couldn't admit I was 16 to 17, so I had to pretend I was an adult even longer. After this detail of backstory, they then reiterate that they do not have any attraction to real children, asking those reading to please stop spreading rumors that they do. DogSmith states that she had even spoken to a therapist about the matter, the therapist encouraging them to make said content. And while there's a rather sizable amount of information after, the remainder can be summarized as DogSmith emphasizing how they aim to keep their cub works in private as a coping mechanism, and apologizing for publicly supporting those who monetize the problematic content, contributing to harmful mindsets. Later stating that they are now looking into other forms of coping mechanisms. There's also a message in here that speaks on cancel culture and how the individuals being cancelled aren't given a chance to change. But I'm sure that's just common knowledge at this point. This is why I'll personally say that this is one of the better controversy apologies I've seen. They explained their case, apologized for what they did wrong, and said that their plan was to move forward. All of that really needs to be done in an apology. Now, I'm sure most are aware of my heavy disdain for cub content already, but I can at least respect someone for attempting to get the help they need to deal with some issues or trauma. When the people who engage in this sort of material publicly are called out, chances are they'll double down, call everyone SJWs, or worst case, spam your private messages with lolly porn until you're forced to block them. A tad specific, but you know what I'm getting at here. From what I can see here, DogSmith is at the very least trying to seek help for said issues in private, instead of trying to make bank off of depraved individuals flogging their logs to this stuff. Although I'm still a tad bit shaky about DogSmith being recommended to continue drawing cub as a coping mechanism to trauma. Something about seeking therapy and being told to continue drawing underage sexual material to cope. It just doesn't sit right in my stomach, but I suppose my lack of approval isn't really making or breaking anything here. So personally, I actually find this somewhat redeeming. But as expected, when you look at the comments on the posts, it shows a mixed view on the matter. Responses ranged from supportive to critical to just commenting for the hell of it, I guess. But even after the apology, DogSmith still seemed affected by the remnants of the controversy. A month later, they would post a thread detailing their anger with the fact that people were spreading misinformation about them, mostly aimed at the comments of, they said themselves that they liked real children. While they haven't said this verbatim, the closest I've seen to this is DogSmith saying that their interests with underage characters being strictly around 15 to 18 years old. Although they've stated in their second response that they have no attraction to real children and that the works they've done were purely cathartic, I can see why the poor wording of the first statement could lead to that conclusion. Well, assuming they haven't read the second statement after. This received the same level of mixed reception as the response did. A mix of nothing is never enough to you're not entitled to forgiveness. And from there, the situation seemed to simmer down for the most part, as most incidents of cancel culture do. Faint mentions of the controversy that transpired with no real addition from DogSmith. The artists resumed business as usual yet again, the Google document being their last statement on the issue. At least until it was brought up again on Twitter. A user by the handle yiff, or Devin, will post a tweet mentioning the controversy. Don't put DogSmith on my timeline cause that nice car hike he draws cub porn and I don't bang with that. Just a reminder cause I have like 300 plus mutuals with them on this account still after all that shit that went down last year. Nice cars be like, they apologize so it's okay. Bruh, they could've literally just said that to get y'all off their backs and went right back to drawing that shit privately. The situation got to the point that DogSmith put out a response to Devin's post in the form of a voice message.
Hey, listen, I don't really care if people want to share around the screenshots from last year of me saying a bunch of dumb shit. I certainly don't mind because that's my recompense. I don't really care if people want to hold me accountable for my own actions. I don't care. I welcome it. I seriously do. But the moment you start putting words in my mouth, telling people that I said certain things when I didn't, and you have no evidence of that, but you'll, for days on end, you'll claim that I said it, but you certainly can't find it. Yeah, I lose all respect for you. You don't ever put words in my mouth. I don't care who you are. I don't care what other, credentials you may have. I don't care what else you've said. I don't care what other screenshots you may have on me, but you're not going to put words in my mouth, okay? Fuck off. I don't give a shit who you are. You don't ever put words in my mouth. You don't ever lie on my behalf. I don't recommend or ask anybody to defend me at all. I don't. I don't want anybody going around telling everybody what I said afterwards or my apology or whatever. I don't really care if they want to believe whatever they want to believe. They want to believe that it was a lie. If they believe that it was all bullshit. If they believe that I'm still just, clamoring for children or something. I don't know if whatever they're thinking, let them believe that. If that's what they want to believe, that's fine. I'm not going to wiggle my way into their spaces. If they don't want me there, I'd rather just not be there. I'd rather just go about my day and be in places where they actually want me around. Okay, I don't really care about what people think of me as long as I know that I'm not doing anything horrible. And after last year, I think I can safely say that I've made some changes to my life to make sure that I'm not being horrible.
Now, I definitely share the same sentiment as Devin when it comes to people who make cub porn. That being said, it might just be by empathy here, but after reading through the second apology, I'm somewhat on the fence in terms of placing the Scarlet Sea on DogSmith. To my knowledge, the only thing about the controversy people really came across after it simmered down was the Discord confession and the second portion of the first statement, arguably the worst parts of the ordeal. And while those are extremely damning screenshots, this essentially kept people's eyes closed to the entire apology, leading them to either unintentionally or maliciously spread misinformation. As someone who's been in the same DogSmith is a pedo boat since I began researching the topic a few days ago, I can understand that. And the reason I'm assuming that other people only saw the first two screen caps is because of what Devin said in his second tweet. He says that they could have just apologized to go right back to drawing it in private. But the thing was, according to their confession, apologies, and just the fact that people would have archived it on site if it were posted, none of DogSmith's hub work ever saw the light of day. They were always drawing it in private. In their words, they didn't share it, they didn't post it, it was for them. While that would conclude that they have drawn it, I at least can take solace in the fact that throughout the entire controversy, DogSmith didn't once attempt to normalize what they were doing. The closest they ever came was referring to it as a coping mechanism for their problems. And seeing as they no longer publicly support the material, I think it's safe to say that they have been making changes for the better. That being said, I think it's safe to say that this can teach just how far not only cancel culture, but miscommunication can stretch out a controversy. As horrific of a coping mechanism as it was, I think cancellation for it, rather than recommending that this way of coping wasn't the best, might have worked out a bit better. Even just criticizing them for their public support of comparatively worse people would have done the trick. And in my opinion, I feel that if anyone had to be cancelled here, it should have been, say, the club artists who do publicize this work. The same ones who monetize the horde material and simply add to the pool of pseudo-child sexual exploitation material. I absolutely hate cancel culture personally, so that was a hypothetical, but you get what I mean. So, what exactly is there to get out of this controversy? Well, I would say that it's probably best not to make your struggles known on the internet, because give someone enough leverage and you end up with situations like this one. Also, don't immediately jump on the cancel train. At least wait for the explanation to come out before rallying against a single person on the internet. Chances are, if the person's that shitty, they'll admit to it themselves or try in any way to justify it or pretend it isn't real. So that's about it from me. What are your views on this entire situation? Do you think it was handled well? Do you disagree with me? Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below and I'll give them a read through. Like, subscribe, all that usual YouTube crap, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay safe out there.